Welcome, welcome. We have a really large number of participants joining us today, so I'm happy to see that so many of you were able to join. I'm not sure if I need an introduction at this point. I feel like you've heard my voice at least once a month since probably the beginning of COVID, but my name is Courtney Neubauer and I work for the Division of Nutrition Support. Today, we're having Lindsay Healy and Sarah Thomas from CNResource with us, and they will be discussing the administrative review process. I know many of you, if not all of you, are kind of in a situation where you are tired, you're overworked. You've had a technical assistance cohort last year. You are now on what I would consider year 3 of preparing for a review. So the first year of anticipating the review coming, last year when you should have had a review and had technical assistance, and now this year where you are getting ready for an administrative review. So I think that from our standpoint, we are ready to get this checked off the list of being done, and trying to be as supportive and provide as much technical assistance as we possibly can, knowing the difficulties of COVID and what it has done to most of you. So we are working very closely with CNResource. So our team here at the state agency, myself and the rest of the team are working with them to ensure that we are all providing a streamlined message and that we are all working together to provide the same support to all of our school systems throughout this administrative review process. Please put any of your questions in the chat box. We'll be happy to answer those as well. And we're going to turn it over to Lindsay and Sarah. I think Lindsay's actually going to start it off. And just please send any of your questions. We hope that this training will really provide put you a little bit at ease, and so that you're not as nervous about what's coming this year, the inevitable of having this review, and really know that we are here to support and work with you throughout this difficult time. So I'm gonna turn it over to Lindsay.
Thanks, Courtney. Hi, everybody. I'm Lindsay Healy. I think most of you on this call have probably talked to me or seen me on other trainings in the past, so welcome back. I am the Senior Vice President of CNResource. I've been with the company for almost 10 years now. Louisiana has been one of the states that I've worked on since the first year of our contract with Louisiana, so we're excited to be back and working with you guys again. Myself and Sarah Thomas will be kind of presenting today on some of the administrative review basics. Sarah Thomas is our Director of Training. She's also helping to oversee the NSLP and SFSP programs within CNResource. As Courtney said, today we're really focusing on just kind of an overview of the administrative review process, how it will work, and kind of dig into it a little bit just to ease your mind, make you feel a little bit more prepared. There is always more information coming. I feel like that is the way of the world these days. There's always more coming, but this will give you a good introduction and kind of help you set yourself up for success. So Courtney had mentioned just a couple of things. Everybody is on mute. We're already recording the session, so that way if you have team members that couldn't be here today, they can view it later. You guys can re-reference it if you want to go back and check out a specific section. If you have any questions, please post them to the chat. If there are questions that we can quickly answer throughout the session today, we will try to do our best to answer those. If not, we will create a little FAQ form and send out the FAQ with the questions that are posted. So what are we going to do today? I want to talk a little bit about who CNResource is, so you guys know who you're talking to when you call or email us. We're going to talk about using some of the resources that we have available through CNR support, and then accessing resources through CNR learning. Then we'll walk through an overview of the administrative review process as a whole. And then we have some tips and best practices that you guys can think about as you start to prepare for the review season. So who is CNResource? We are a contract company. We contract with states across the country to help oversee SFSP, NSLP, and CCSP. You can see we kind of just wrapped up this map quickly. Everything in green is a state that we're currently working with. So we're spread out. We have a number of other states that we do on and off work with, but I wanted to just kind of give you the basics. And then you see the little gray people all over the place, and that is our staff. We're everywhere. We even have a consultant who lives in Hawaii and works from us from Hawaii. So we really do represent a huge mix from across the country, and most of our reviewers travel everywhere. Most of our reviewers have had experience with multiple programs. We are excited to be back in Louisiana. We're looking forward to getting back in touch with people. I think, with the pandemic, there's been a little bit of missed connection and communication, and so we're excited to bring that back to all of our NSLP schools. So who is your Louisiana team? Obviously, there are a ton of other people that will be helping out on this contract, but I wanted you guys to be able to put a face to a name for the main people that you'll probably hear from or that you'll receive emails from. So Emily Lott, she is our administrative coordinator. If you have questions with the basic review process, she is our contact person. She'll be able to help you navigate CNRS, navigate CNRL, and then answer any general questions that come up. Myself and Sarah are overseeing the contract this year, so you'll probably hear from us once in a while. Denise Hignite is our Director of Resource Management. She oversees our resource management team that works on validating all of the, I call them the 700 series questions, and then I think to myself, I should probably explain that. She helps to validate all of the resource management questions, make sure that if a comprehensive review is needed, it's completed. And then there is Laura Lee Hansen, and she is the Director of Menu Analysis, and she manages a large team of registered dietitians who complete the menu review portion of the administrative review. So you will probably hear or see our names written somewhere along the way throughout the review process. As Courtney mentioned, we really work very closely with the state. We value so much the partnership that we have with the Louisiana State Agency. They're wonderful to work with, and we really try to constantly be in communication. That way, if there's a struggle or if there is a sponsor that might need a little extra support, everyone's on the same page and we can all work together. So the state and CNResource do work very closely together. We try to keep each other updated with all of the happenings. So hopefully you'll be able to get consistent messaging across the board. So how does the CNR process work? And I know that this is different from what a lot of states do, and it's because of how our office is structured and how we do reviews. When you are selected for review and CNResource is completing your review, you will be assigned a lead reviewer. And that lead reviewer could be, that lead reviewer will come from our cadre of experienced reviewers who honestly miss being on site. We all can't wait to get back on site, but we've had 2 years of virtual reviews now, so they've kind of gotten it down pat. So that lead reviewer, once it's assigned, they'll become your main contact for the review process. They will be, if you have a question, if you're not sure about something, they will be your main point of contact. If they need to reach out to one of these focus areas below, they'll do that, and then they'll kind of help disseminate that information. So you will have one primary contact person for the review process. But I also wanted you to know that how we kind of divide up the review. So we have our resource management team that deals with all of the financial portions of the review. Our menu review team does the in-depth analysis of the 1 week of menu documentation. They'll collect everything, they'll do the review, they'll send you technical assistance, they'll let you know if there's anything out of compliance. And then we have our wellness and professional standards team. And we found that by pulling these out, it just helps kind of break up the review a little bit. It makes it a little bit less overwhelming when you guys are trying to submit all of the documentation. So we have that team, and then we have our general review team. And your lead reviewer will be your general review team. If you're a big review where we have multiple sites happening, they may have an additional person helping, but the lead reviewer does the general review portion. I did want to mention the procurement review. So we combined, or we do the procurement review alongside the National School Lunch Program review. So when you receive your notification letter, that letter is going to include information about the NSLP review as well as the procurement review. Our procurement team is headed up by Jamie Hawkins. I will say that once you've received that notification letter with the documentation that's requested, you're going to see the procurement review kind of become its own little review. And it's because it generally moves much quicker than a full administrative review. You'll submit the documentation the same way. You'll get all of the information. Everything, the communication will remain the same. It's just that Jamie will be your point of contact for the procurement review, and she'll make sure that you have all of your findings and results and technical assistance. It's just generally that review moves much quicker than the administrative review. So I want to talk a little bit about what tools we have available to help everyone be successful throughout the review process. The first part of that is CNR support. I have to say, just about everyone on this call participated in the cohorts last year, and those all went through CNR support. So everyone should have some experience with it. We are continuing to put more and more and more there and make it more and more user-friendly. So the CNR support is going to be our communication hub for everything. Just so you guys know, our team uses it to communicate and track reviews internally. So we try to keep it, constantly updated, keep putting all of the information there. The state agency also has access to it. That way, if they ever need to look into anything about a review or a communication, they have access to CNR support. And then you guys, as the school food authorities, also are able to access it. So it's an important key piece, and we want to make sure that you guys have figured out how to access it, have the right usernames and passwords. If we need to add additional people, please let us know. We can add as many people as we need to for each SFA. What are the things that you can do on CNR support? The first piece is going to be that you're going to log in to view and confirm your review details, and we'll go through this in just a few minutes. It will be where you upload the documentation that's requested for the review. If we need to request more information, we'll actually kind of fill out a form and send it to you through CNRS, and you can actually respond right in that document. You'll review any review reports, so the menu review, when they send out the results with technical assistance, resource management, when they consolidate their findings, all of those little summary reports will be posted into CNRS. You'll also be able to access a communication log. That communication log will have a history of all emails, phone calls, and chats that have existed within your sponsor or within your SFA. So it's a good resource, especially when you have a lot of people working on one review. It lets them be able to go in and see, who else may have emailed my question, who else within the SFA is talking to CNR right now. It's just a good place to go to see what's been going on throughout the review process. You'll be able to submit chats through CNRS. We used the chat feature during the cohort, so many of you have experience with it already. And you'll also be able to complete any questionnaires that we put there. As we have developed best practices from these virtual reviews, we've really found some key ways to make it simpler and more efficient. And one of those is asking some of those basic questions that we would normally be able to ask when we're on site. And so we've created a couple of small questionnaires that you'll answer when you upload your documentation, and you'll be able to do those right through CNR support. I'm going to do a quick walkthrough of CNR support. I just said this, and now I'm like, what is my password? So when you log in, if you don't have your username and password, please email Emily and we'll make sure to get you set up. It is your email address, and then we'll send you a password to be able to access. Once you've logged in, you land on our main page, and so you'll select your sponsor here. If you are someone who works within multiple sponsors, you'll actually see all of the sponsors that you're associated with here so that you can access the specific one that you need at any time. So in our case, we're going to access the Louisiana test sponsor. When you first land in CNRS, you're going to be taken to your main sponsor page. And this is not specific to NSLP. This is everything that we may be working with your SFA on. Oh, goodness me. There are a couple sponsors that are on this call right now, or SFAs that are on this call right now, that are the lucky ones that are still working on a CACFP review with us or an SFSP review. So all of that information is maintained on this site, and you can access all of those reviews, not just the NSLP review. So on this main page, you'll see a summary of the chat history and what's been going back and forth between CNRS and the SFA. This is the table where you'll actually click to access the NSLP review. If there is a CCFP review or an SFSP review, it'll be posted here. There's a small video that if you click on it, it will enlarge, and it shows you how to upload documents into CNRS. It's just, I think it's about 90 seconds long. Down here, we've listed all of the contacts that we have on file. As you can see for our test site, we really haven't filled in all of the details, but generally you'll actually see all of this information filled in here. If you have anything where the contact information is wrong, or people have left or been replaced, we'd love for you to review this and then just send us a chat if anything needs to change, if you need to remove someone or add someone new, update a phone number. We do try to keep it current, but there's always that chance. And then here's the communication history. And this table is where you're going to see all of the communications back and forth. If we have a phone call, the phone call will be documented here. If there's an email, a copy of the email will be posted here, and then a record of all the chats will happen. So there is one consolidated place where you can see all of the communication. I'm going to scroll up here and click on the administrative review. And this will take us to the specific NSLP review page. And this is where you're going to see all of your review details, review information. So as you scroll down, you can see that we have all the basic information up here. I do want to just say, if you log in right now, some of that basic information will be there. Some will not. As your review date comes closer, as we send out notification letters, all of those dates will be filled in. Once we send out the notification letter, that's when you're going to see the due dates populate for any of the documentation that we're requesting. You'll be able to see your week of menu review and your review month. The lead reviewer generally will be assigned after we've sent out the notification letter, so that will be blank a little bit longer. This is also the page where you'll go to confirm all of your review information. I'm not sure if you guys can see the banner. I'm kidding. So we like to make it easy to find. And as I kind of mentioned before about confirming review details and finishing completing questionnaires, this is where all of those will be accessed. So you can see so far with this test sponsor, they have access to confirming review details as well as completing the initial resource management questionnaire. And I'm going to click on those in just a second. But on this same page, you'll also be able to see the sites that are selected for review. I believe as of this morning, all but 7 sponsors have all of their sites, all but how many, Sarah? 7. All but 7 of the sponsors have all of their sites that are selected for review entered in. The other 7 will be in there before the end of the day today. We just needed a couple pieces of clarification before we could finish it up. So those last 7 will be in by the end of the day today. Then everyone will be able to see all of the sites selected for review. As the review starts and we need additional information for menus or resource management or general review areas, we'll put requests for information in this table right here. When we request information through CNR support, you don't have to worry about constantly logging in to check it. You will get an email, and the email will say, hey, Sarah, you have a new request for information. Please make sure to log in and take a look at it, and you can respond directly in CNRS. So you do get that notification that it's there and ready for you to review. We talked about being able to view your review reports. As the menu reviews are completed, Laura Lee posts the results here, and that way you can log in and see, what areas were in compliance, what technical assistance is provided. Once we've completed the menu component contribution worksheets, those will also be uploaded here for you to be able to access. I'm going to just quickly show you, I think this is just our test one, so it might be pretty short. But this is what your menu review report would look like. There will be a report for each menu that we review. But you'll see here, it'll show you what week was selected, what menu it was, and then whether or not there were review findings. Wow. So you can look at here. You also have the option to print this, and so you can print it and save it as a PDF so that you have a copy of it that's not online. I'm going to jump back to our main page here. And I want to show you our little pop-up questionnaires. So the first questionnaire that we're going to ask you guys to complete is just our simple view and confirm administrative review details. And so when you click on this, you'll have a little pop-up show up. And what it will actually show you is it will show you the week that we're planning on doing the meal observations, which we'll talk more about the process in just a minute. And then we ask, yes, this week will work. And what we mean by will it work is, are your sites going to be in school that week? And are you serving meals that week? And then we confirm your week of menu review for the same thing. When we pick a week for menu review, it needs to be a full week that all the students are in school. So if it happens to be a week where professional development is occurring, you'll need to let us know so that we can pick a new week. So that's when you would hit yes or no here. We'll have you confirm supplemental programs. And then give us notes here if anything is wrong there. And then down here, I don't think this is as applicable in Louisiana as it is in some of our other states, but we are just wanting to confirm, if you participated in NSLP during any period of the current school year. And again, I think in Louisiana, this really isn't as applicable. So you can probably just answer no and NA. But if so, please answer the question correctly. And then with meal service, we have found a couple of our sponsors or SFAs are still doing alternate meal options. In addition to serving meals during the school day, they're doing a pickup, a curbside pickup. And so those are the things that we kind of want to hear about. That way we can plan for that and make sure that we account for that in our review process. Once you hit submit, we get a notification that you've confirmed all of the review details, and we're able to move forward with the review process and all of the set dates. The resource management questionnaire, I'm just going to show just a little clip of it. What's great about CNResource and having the questionnaire built in here is that it's really easy to see what documentation is needed for each thing. So you can see here, we have the question, you'll answer the question, and then right next to it, it tells you exactly what document we need to upload. And you'll be able just to click on it and a little pop-up will pop up. You'll see an example of what kind of document we're looking for. And then you also have the ability up top to upload that document right here. The format that you see here for the resource management is going to be the same format that you're going to see for some of the other, well, for the other questionnaire that we use to collect documentation. It'll be the same style. It'll just have our general review areas. I'm going to bounce back. All right. So I really think that that's kind of the general areas of what you'll see here. I did want to show you the request for information. If we need additional information, let's say we have a couple questions on how your edit check is formatted or something like that, we may have our request for information, and you'll see it posted here. Oops, I don't even know how I did that. Let's see if this will work. You'll see it posted here, and once you click on it, there is actually the opportunity to respond right in the format. So you can see, for this example, we were missing a CN label. And so you can say, here's the CN label for, you know, French toast, or better question, I'm going to change that, because usually we would request it as a document that you would upload. So I would say something like, we serve 2 slices of French toast. And then you just hit submit. We get a notification that it's been submitted, and it shows up at the table with the date that you submitted it back to us. Response submitted to CNResource. So it's a great way just to track and make sure that you're kept on time, we're kept on time. So that's really CNResource support from kind of all aspects. You'll find all of your information there. One of the things I wanted to point out is this top table of information. This will grow as we find more, as we schedule more with you guys, as we move closer to that review date. You're going to start seeing the dates of the entrance conference, when the date for the midpoint check-in, the date and time for the meal observation. So all of those things will be reflected right in this top section, so that you'll be able to log in and get just a really quick snapshot of important dates and important benchmarks, so that everyone within the SFA that has access knows what's going on, and is current with all of our dates. Okay, so now I want to move ahead a page. That brings us to CNR Learning. For those of you that attended our cohorts last year, we used CNR Learning for the cohort sessions. That's where they were posted if you wanted to review them. That's where we had all of those additional resources. We really just want everyone to capitalize on the opportunity here to access some of the short trainings that are related to the administrative review. Excuse me. We've broken the review up into, a number of small 20, 10, 15-minute trainings that just walk you through that very specific area. And so they're great to visit when you're kind of like, I don't remember what I have to have for the wellness policy. And so you can jump on there and look through that training. You can also earn professional standards hours for the trainings that are completed. You will be able to access the the recorded cohort trainings. If you were like, oh, I know we went over that in detail, you can open that back up and skim through them to find what you're looking for. And then you can also just learn more about a specific area. So I'm gonna actually jump in here. Maybe I'm not gonna jump in here. Sorry, guys. The first web page worked. All right, let's see if the link will take me there. Can you guys still see the screen? Sarah, just nod your head yes if you see CNR Learning's website. No, okay. All right, let me fix my share.
Yeah, it's still stuck on the last slide, the CNR Learning slide. Here we go.
All right, perfect. Sorry about our technical glitch. I was hoping to avoid having to jump back and forth. So this is CNR Learning. Again, I think a lot of you have used this in the past. When you log in, you'll be taken to your dashboard, and that will show you any trainings that you've completed. There are no checklists set up for Louisiana, so you don't have to worry about that. You'll see any courses that you have in progress, certifications that have been earned. If you go to the books and click on the books, that takes you to the Learning Library, and that will show you all of the courses that you have access to. And I'm going to show you the Louisiana Library. And you can see all of the cohorts are here from last school year, as well as the individual trainings that we have that go over understanding the AR process and verification, although verification isn't really necessary this year. Menu review documentation, that's a great one to visit. What documentation should I pull? How should I have it prepared? The resource management section. So they've all been broken down into these small little quick sessions that you can go through just to kind of refresh your memory and help yourself get back into the NSLP swing of things. All right, I'm going to jump back. Perfect. I'm sure this is what most of you have called in for this call to talk about, so I thought now would be a good time to walk through the actual administrative review process. So we're estimating, in a perfect world, the review process from start to finish will take about 10 weeks. That gives everyone time to get the documentations in, for us to review the documents, for us to do meal observation. So I wanted to walk through what happens during each of those weeks, because it seems like a lot, but a lot of those weeks are time for CNR to do work, time for you to pull documentation. So our little yellow car is going to take us on a trip. And so week one, all that happens is that we send out your notification letter. That notification letter is going to tell you what sites are selected for review. If you haven't already logged into CNRL to see them, it's going to tell you the review month, the week that we're planning on doing meal observations. It's going to tell you the week that we're planning for menu review. There'll be links to get into CNR support if you haven't already gotten in there. It'll ask that you log into CNRS and confirm all of the review details. So that notification letter has a lot of information in it. Along with that letter, it is the most comprehensive email you will probably get from us, because you'll have the notification letter, We'll also be providing the offsite assessment tool so that you can start working on the offsite assessment tool. It will have a packet of guidance for how to submit your menu documentation. Laura Lee has pulled that together with some tips and just helpful tools on knowing what labels to pull, what labels not to pull. So yes, offsite assessment, menu review guidance, notification letter. I think that's what goes in that email. Sarah's like, I think so. The week that you get the notification letter, we're going to call you and we're going to say, hey, did you get our email? We want to make sure that you got that notification letter. And then once you've confirmed that you've gotten the email, we'll also schedule an entrance conference. And we like to schedule it for the week right after that you've gotten that notification letter. I forgot to move my car. During the entrance conference, we want to talk about what documentation is being requested. We'll go over the documentation checklist of information. We can answer questions that you may have about the offsite assessment or the review process. I also think it's a good opportunity to schedule the additional phone calls so that way that they're on the calendar far enough in advance. Obviously, if we need to make changes throughout the process, we can, but it just kind of creates a good accountability system on both sides for what's upcoming. During week 3, the first wave of documentation is going to be due to CNResource. That would be the resource management and menu documents. Now, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, you can already go in and answer your resource management questions. You don't have to wait until week 3 to submit them if you don't want to. But we do ask that they are submitted no later than the due date that we'll establish. But during that week 3, you'll submit all of your menu documentation for the week selected for menu review, and you'll submit your resource management documentation. In week 4, that is when professional standards and wellness policy documentation is due to the office. Again, we've pulled those 2 out just because the professional standards can be just a lot to pull together, and making sure that you guys have the time to organize the documents and have things labeled. We've just found that breaking apart the different due dates is helpful for a lot of people. It just makes it a little bit more simplistic, not even simplistic, just easier to swallow. So we have broken apart how we do the reviews. So you'll submit your wellness policy and professional standards during the week 4 timeline. And then in week 5, that's when the remaining documentation is due for counting and claiming, on-site monitoring, smart snacks, civil rights, food safety, supplemental programs, basically everything else. You know, I think there are 2 types of people. There are the people that want to have these different due dates. And then there are others who just say, I just want to spend one day working on pulling this all together and get it submitted. And that is totally fine too. Within the notification letter, we will be providing a comprehensive checklist. And so you will know far in advance about what is required for each area of review. And if you want to submit that all at once, that is totally fine. But we wanted to make sure that people had options, because I think some people do better breaking it up and other people would prefer to have it all at once. So we kind of wanted to give you guys that, the options. During week 6, at this point, you've received all of your documentation. We have gone through it all. So we will have a check-in virtual call. And this is an opportunity for our reviewers to say, you know, it looks like we're still missing this documentation. Do you have any questions about it? Can you please submit it? It's also a time for us to ask any questions. You know, if there maybe was something that we didn't understand on a smart snack form or through the wellness policy updates. It's just an opportunity to get on the call and kind of have that interaction that you would normally have during an on-site review day as we're asking questions about the paperwork. So that call will happen around week 6. You'll have, you know, if there's documentation that we're still requesting, you'll have about a week to get that submitted. And so week 7, you'll submit that information. Week 7 and week 8, CNResource reviewers are really just wrapping up all of the documentation review. We are trying to make sure that we've answered all of our questions, that we have everything that we need, and that nothing is outstanding. By the time that we get to the end of week 8, we are really at a point where all we are waiting on is doing the actual meal observation. Which brings us to the meal observation. So the week of meal observation is going to be indicated as your quote unquote review date. And what we've done is we've set the Monday of that week as the review date, but you'll work with your actual reviewer to pick what day works best, or if we have multiple sites, we'll have to schedule multiple virtual meal observations. We have to observe both breakfast and lunch if it is served, or if you serve it, we will observe it. And so we need to work to schedule time to do all of those observations. I will say that this is going to be a coordination. It's definitely something that we try to work with you guys too. I know it's not easy. We have found that doing a Zoom call where we start, a couple minutes early, we do a quick kitchen walkthrough, we can see the point of service, we can see the serving line, and then we'll observe meal service at that point. We will not observe the entire meal service. We recognize that it's a lot to ask someone to stand there and hold an iPad or an iPhone for 90 minutes while kids come through the line. So we'll review a portion of meal service. And then if we need to schedule another call to do a deeper kitchen walkthrough or something else, we'll have another call. Usually, if we try to do breakfast and lunch on the same day, there will be a break in between. Obviously, we won't keep you on the phone that whole time. So that is definitely the week where it takes the most coordination to make sure that all of the calls and all of the observations are scheduled for the right times during meal service. Once all of the meal observations are done, we'll have one final call, and that call will be our exit conference call. And at that point, we'll actually sit down, go over all of the identified areas where technical assistance was provided. If there are any identified findings, we'll go over the findings. We'll talk about what you need to do to bring them into compliance. We're really hoping that throughout the review process, we can identify these findings along the way and work to develop a solution throughout the review so that by the time we're providing this final report, there's no additional actions that are needed on your part because we'll have already addressed them with you throughout this 10-week process. Once the exit conference is over, you'll have a preliminary exit sheet to refer to. Our reviewers will wrap up the reviews, get everything all set to go. They'll send them to us in the state. We'll take a quick look at them, and then we send the final reports to you guys. So you'll get your report somewhere around week 10 of the review process. As we said, we're hoping that we don't have a lot of findings that will require an additional response. So hopefully this report will be more of a reference and a summary report than something that actually requires additional work on your part. We understand that this is a struggle and that this year is tough. So we want to make sure that we are giving everyone as much technical assistance and support as possible, as needed. Which brings us to technical assistance. So throughout the review process, technical assistance will be provided as needed. We understand that this is not normal. Like, it hasn't been normal in a really, really long time. And so we have talked with the state, we have worked through this review process, and we are going to do our very best to help you guys overcome the challenges that you faced or come up with creative solutions. We really want to make sure that this review process is yes, it has to be a review, but it's also a beneficial opportunity to help support you guys and help come up with some solutions to problems that you guys may be facing that you could use a little insight on or some different experiences brought to the table. If findings are identified throughout the review process, as I mentioned, we're really going to try to work hard to bring them up during the review so that they can get addressed and fixed right away. That way we have the ability to just document that right throughout the review and not have to require an additional step of getting a written response back in a report at the end of the review period. So we're really hoping to simplify it, hoping to make it easy as possible for you guys. I did want to make a note about meal patterns. We know that supply chain issues have affected the entire country. Supply chain issues and staffing issues have made it very, very difficult. USDA has released a memo regarding supply chain issues. If we come on site or not come on site, oh my goodness. If we are reviewing your menus and during meal observation, we see that, a subgroup wasn't being met, or there was something that was a struggle because of the supply chain issues, USDA has given us the ability to waive fiscal action applying. So I just want to I want everyone to recognize that we want to help. Don't panic. We know that things are not perfect this year. So we're here to get everybody through. A couple of quick notes on site selection and I'm sorry, I have like a frog in my throat. Sarah, can you do this slide for me? Okay.
It helps to unmute myself. Lindsay, do you want to switch to me sharing the screen as you're drinking? Okay, so a few things to note. Site selection. So the site that was selected during the cohorts last school year will be one of your sites that is selected this year. So if you have multiple sites, it will be one of them. If you only have a single site under review, then it will be the same site that was reviewed in the cohorts last year. As Lindsay mentioned before, site selection is still ongoing for a few SFAs. We are down to 7, so the goal is to have that completed by the end of the day today. One little thing to note is the fresh fruit and vegetable program. We understand that the applications are still being sent out and processed and all of that. So if you do operate FFVP, we will be reviewing that program. Hopefully it's at the site selected, but if not, we will also review it at whatever site it is operating at. So just a little hiccup that we will figure out as we work through the process. Next up on the review period. So you will see when you log into CNR support, the month of review and then the date for your quote unquote on-site review, which is our meal observation week. So just to be super, super clear, all of these reviews are virtual. We will not be coming on site this year. We will be completing everything virtually. So what we have done is we have planned out the reviews. We have taken into account any personnel availability or requests that you guys have put in. And also we are working closely with the state agency as far as anyone who's been affected by the hurricane. So we have pushed any of you guys that were affected by the hurricane to after January. So January, February, March. I really work to put you guys in the February, March zone for your review. So we're keeping that in mind. Lastly, your on-site review date, it's going to be noted as a Monday. And that's just going to signify the week that your meal observations are going to take place. You'll work with your lead reviewer to actually determine which days you'll be doing those pieces. So just note that it's a Monday. we're shifting those around just a little bit, but hopefully by the end of the day today, those dates will also be solidified. As this is moving to the next slide, I do want to mention as well, with the procurement review, your notification letter will kind of kick off both the NSLP administrative review and the procurement review. So they will run concurrently, but we didn't mention it on the roadmap that we just showed you. So they'll start and end at the same time, but they'll kind of run on two separate highways if we want to keep our theme. So some support along the way. As Lindsay was mentioning, you know, we really want to be as communicative and collaborative as possible. So we've got several avenues for you guys to work alongside us as we go through this process. Emily Lott is our administrative coordinator. I sent her email and phone number into the chat just a few minutes ago. She's going to be a resource for general review information, confirming receipt of documents. You'll probably get phone calls from her. And also, if you have any questions about CNR support or CNR learning, she's going to be your resource there. Once you are into CNR support, we ask that you try and use the chat feature for all of your questions. The beauty of that is it's being monitored by several of us. So we will see those, and any of us can respond, but specifically whomever you're asking your questions to, if it's a resource management question, Denise will get back to you. The other thing is it's a great tracking tool because anyone from your SFA can see all the chats and responses. And so this is really our preferred method for you guys to communicate with us. It's a way for the whole team to support you. And lastly, you've got your lead reviewer. So we will assign the lead reviewer as we send out notification letters. And so if you have specific questions, you're welcome to reach out to the lead reviewer, although I do recommend that you still funnel it through the CNR support chat. You will be doing your virtual conferences and meal observations with your lead reviewer. And this is the person doing your general topics of the review. So next, I want to talk about some tips for success. And we've got really kind of the things that we have already talked about. So our CNR Learning Library. So that's great for resources and mini trainings to help walk you through. I also recommend that you just go into CNR support when you have a couple minutes, if you ever have a couple minutes, and just kind of navigate through to become familiar with the website and where to find things. And then lastly, make sure to read all your emails and attachments. I know that feels silly to say, but we know how crazy everything is right now. So there's a lot of back and forth with these virtual reviews. So we want you to try and take a moment to be thorough and read through those emails and attachments to make sure that you're getting the full picture from the start, which really helps eliminate some of the back and forths. Additional tips. Contact us as soon as you have a question or a concern, rather than waiting for due dates. Use that chat feature in CNR support. We understand the challenges that you guys are under. So if you have a concern, a question, if you need to tweak anything, if you'd like to try and move the process along a little faster, whatever it is you would like, just communicate with us and we will absolutely do our best to accommodate whatever it is you need. Next up, plan for the virtual conferences. It doesn't need to just be you. If there's someone else that you'd like to bring to the table, whether it's an assistant director, a business manager, whomever, they are welcome to join in the virtual conferences. Assign out your work. So if you have multiple people on your team that can help with these different pieces, by all means, pull them in for their work. We're happy to create accounts for them in CNR support, communicate with them as well, whatever makes life easiest. Organize your files for uploading. You want to be clear in how you name the files. If you want to start it with the section name or number, that's very helpful for both your organization and for us as we're reviewing documents. And then my other tip is to do a complete section at once. So what I mean by that is you really want to, if you're working on resource management, have all of your information prepared and do the whole section at one time. And we can chunk a lot of this up: professional standards, local wellness policy, menu. But I highly recommend you go chunk by chunk and do the full section so that you can make sure you're not missing something or, writing yourself a note off to the side to go check for it. And then it all just gets lost in the shuffle. So definitely wanting to focus on doing a whole section at one time. Our best practices are going to sound a lot like our tips. Submit your documents by the requested dates. If you feel you're not going to be able to meet a deadline, please communicate with us so that we can work with you to adjust as needed. Ask your questions along the way. Make sure to clearly label your documents when uploading. Again, that's clarity for you and clarity for your reviewer, which can eliminate some of the back and forths. Work together to collect and submit your documents, and we will provide you with a checklist to collect and track your documents. So use your tools to your advantage. And that is really all. So we know this, I say year, but it's really going on 2 years at this point. It's been hard, and we know supply chain issues are really hitting everyone hard. Then we throw in the weather there in Louisiana. So we are here to help you. We're here to work through the process together, and we will make adjustments as we need to and work with you guys. So thank you for spending this time with us. You'll see down on the bottom of the screen, we've got Emily's email address, elot@c. And keep going from there. So again, let us know if you have any questions. We look forward to working with you guys again. After last year, it's nice to see a lot of familiar names. So we look forward to working with you, and you'll hear from us soon. Courtney, did you have anything else you want to add in, or are we all set?
I do not. I think we're good. If there's any questions, please put those in the chat box. We will definitely be getting out a frequently asked questions document if there are questions that come in. And we look forward to getting through this review process over the next few months.
Yes, absolutely. I will keep this up for a few more minutes. If you have any last minute questions you want to send through, I'll keep a note of all of those and we can compile everything. And now y'all are off the hook. Have a great afternoon.